Hello and welcome to the Smashi Business Show. Today is Wednesday, February 4th, 2026, and I'm Ward Ahmed.
And I'm Kiki Virdag.
And for today's headlines, Dubai is beginning construction of the $680 million underground transport loop with Elon Musk. Aldar and Mubadala are launching a luxurious $2 billion retail platform, and Ronaldo has missed an Al-Nassr match amid reports of a strike over lack of transfer activity.
Drama.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have with us Kiki today. It's so lovely to have you on the show. How are you feeling?
Oh, excited. This is my second Smashy show with you guys.
Hey.
I know, Ward, look, Majid's not going to appreciate this, but I'm happy to be here with you.
The Shayla is here.
Yeah, we were having a nice little chat before on, aside from today's headlines, on what it is that we care about today. And I think that was quite an interesting introduction because, amidst these crazy kind of big numbered headlines, there's also little human activity in what we were saying.
Yeah, there is. I was telling her how I genuinely care about iShow Speed going to Africa. Like, I know it's over, guys. I should be over this. But, like, the African in me is just like, I have FOMO. Like, why do I have FOMO of an American streamer going to a continent and, like, me just not being there? Like, what do you mean I wasn't at Sudan to tell him you should have come to Sudan? He missed it. I don't blame him. There's a war, but, like, I should have been there. But what about you?
Yeah.
What do you care about right now, Kiki?
So many things. No, off the top of the head there's this amazing platform that we found called Weavy.
Oh.
And Weavy is essentially enabling artists and digital artists to use all these amazing AI workflows through this amazing node system. Yeah. It's receiving a lot of investment. AI is moving at a pace. Speaking of speed, AI is moving at the same pace as speed. See what I did there? And it's just really interesting to see all this new tech coming towards us, whether it's daunting and intimidating or whether we want to step back from it. It's really, really interesting, given the sort of content space that I'm working in on a day-to-day, to keep a finger on the pulse of this kind of fast-paced movement. Especially Augustus is all about scale and speed.
It definitely is. And do you like the speed that AI is scaling at?
It can sometimes induce feelings of inferiority if you are not keeping up with it.
For sure. I so get what you mean. I remember when I was at SEF over the weekend, Kiki, and oh my God, so good. The Shira team, they've done it again.
Have you set up 7 businesses since then?
Oh my God, they're so good. They're so good. They were able to bring in amazing speakers. There was the CMO of Whoop. You had the Snunu, Qatari delivery giant CEO. It was just, honestly, Anas Bukhash. I'm a fan of Habib.
Okay.
Suddenly, I was not. I went for Anas Bukhash, but he's so great. But what's it called? When I was at the conference and I would be like, oh my God, let's stay in touch. Girl, they pull out a QR code.
Yeah.
And I'd scan the QR code.
That's great.
Instagram. Girl, some of them had Spotify. And I'm like,
what, so you could follow their playlist?
I'm like, what is going on
The
here?
Whoop CMO gave you his Spotify playlist.
I was confused, but I was sitting there and I'm like, this is absolutely crazy. And it felt embarrassing for me as a Gen Z.
Yeah, girl, you have no excuse.
Because I was like, look, I will share with you my Instagram. I'll share with you my TikTok. But you know why I stopped doing it? I connected with people through Instagram who've then messaged me and told me, I'm getting overwhelmed. I'm deleting my Instagram. And I've never heard from them again.
Okay. That makes you miss the days of Facebook, Or what was it called? MSN?
Girl, what is MSN? I don't know what that is.
Oh my gosh, MSN was.
Sorry.
What about BBM? You guys probably know BlackBerry Messenger used to be the thing to stay connected.
Okay.
MSN was like a MySpace. Oh God, I'm taking you even further back. It was one centralized area. Think Facebook chat.
Okay.
But for younger, it was like maybe the high school students that were using it. And you would have like a little status update, and you could see if your friends were online. It was wholesome. But if you now that you're returned from your amazing weekend at SEF, what's the one key takeaway that you learned there that you would want to impart on our viewers?
The key takeaway I would learn, you know what, it was so interesting. Over the weekend, it was I think it was being a woman and being in the corporate world and being in these summits, and it's like, you know, I had someone give me this piece of advice, and I love this person. I think they're amazing. And they were like, Ward, like, let me give you a piece of advice. They were like, you know, you're a woman and you're really nice and you're super bubbly, but, you know, with some people, you should consider being a little bit arrogant. And I was like, ooh, okay. Because in her thought process, it was like, if you're a woman, and whether you're like in the business field and you're a founder, you should be a bit more arrogant if you want them to respect you. And it kind of like, I thought about it. I thought, I'm not arrogant today. I'm not arrogant today.
It's Sunday, I'm having a good time.
Literally. And then after that, I saw the Brooke Bellamy, Brookie Bakehouse founder.
Yeah.
She basically got like 60 million dirhams from Arada, this real estate investment company.
That's mad.
She's expanding her Australian cookie brand across the UAE. They're in Mars Al Arab. They opened in Abu Dhabi. More to come, I hope, for her.
Yeah.
And I had a conversation with her too. And she remembered me and she's like, Ward, oh my God.
You should get her on.
She loves Smashi business, by the way. And she was speaking to me, and I asked her about the controversy. Basically, her cookie brand, there was this entire controversy specifically on TikTok.
Okay.
That's the thing about TikTok. They pick up on these kind of things. But it was basically about this, I think it was an old friend, I don't really remember, basically coming in and saying, these are not her recipes, blah, blah, blah. You know how it goes.
Girl on girl, sort of.
Something like that. But like, if you take a look at the entire story, it's honestly kind of funny, because it's like, if my mom taught me how to do something and I take the initiative, I do the business, I do the branding, marketing, colors, boxes, you name it, and I expand it internationally.
You have the business initiative.
Exactly. Like, I've replicated people's recipes, by the way. They never taste the same. And so she was speaking to me, and she brought up something, and it just really, like, it stuck with me. She was like, you know what, Ward, like, this just always happens with female founders. It doesn't really happen with male founders. And I just thought back to that conversation about the being arrogant. I'm like, you know what? I don't see this stuff happening to mean woman.
Well, you don't want to become bitter.
I know.
You don't want to be that person.
That's the thing. It's like, do you change? Like, do you let the world change you, or do you change the world?
Well,
do you know what I mean?
A fascinating angle on that you would be interested in.
What do you think?
Well, it's Michelle Obama who's just joined the Call Her Daddy podcast.
What? What did I miss?
I mean, they really dive into it. This could be a 7-hour conversation, so we'll keep it short. But on the whole, you know, what a woman needs to be in positions of power. And Call Her Daddy is a fascinating case because it kind of follows that same trend of two friends starting an idea, which was a conversation on a podcast that then was scaled by one of them and not so much by the other. And it created this massive online feud that people were feeding into like it was their morning breakfast, you know? And yeah, I have a bit of an issue with that, but maybe one for another female-led Smashy women in business conversation.
I just do really think it's true, because I don't think we hear about the feud between Sam Altman and Elon Musk that much. And, you know, over OpenAI, them starting it together behind ChatGPT, it's just not really focused on, but yeah, with these female founders. But just to start with our first story of the day, Dubai has officially begun construction of the first phase of the Dubai Loop, an underground mass transit system developed in partnership with Elon Musk's The Boring Company. That's a crazy name. Following its announcement at the World Government Summit.
It is a crazy name. According to Matar Al-Tayar, the director of Dubai's Roads and Transport Authority, the first 6-kilometer phase will cost around 600 million dirhams and focus on the city's main financial district.
The project will add much to the infrastructure of Dubai. The first stage will be executed within 2 years, Al-Tayar said, adding that each kilometer costs 70 million dirhams compared to 125 million dirhams for metro tunnels.
The system is expected to reach speeds of up to 160 kilometers per hour, use narrow tunnels designed for autonomous electrical vehicles, and transport around 13,000 passengers daily. So that would significantly cut travel times and ease congestion, which, as we all know, is much needed in this area at the moment.
Yes, it is. And the full 24-kilometer project was announced last year by His Highness Sheikh Hamdan bin Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, the Crown Prince of Dubai, and will cost about 2.5 billion dirhams as part of Dubai's long-term smart mobility strategy. I think with this entire story, and I was telling Kiki this before the show began. It's when you take a look at this story, it's like you think of the princes that we have in the UAE, and the reason why I specifically mention this is it's because like last year, you get the Crown Prince of Dubai, His Highness Sheikh Hamdan, and they announced the Dubai Loop. And you have Elon Musk plastered on it, and it's like super cool, utopic, like ultra, like this is ultra science fiction. This is what it is. And
100%.
and it's like, and to me, to be honest with you, what the Dubai Loop signified to me was, I think, his rise to leadership, because that's what's going to happen at some point. And then right as that's happening, suddenly we're taking a look at the entire battle for Warner Bros. With Paramount Discovery, and then suddenly we hear about the sovereign wealth funds joining in, and then suddenly you have like a new entity called Al-Hamad Holding that's going to join it. And Al-Hamad Holding, it's basically like this new sovereign wealth fund that they started. But then here's where it gets interesting. You have the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi, His Highness Sheikh Khalid, who is going to lead it. And I think like they spun it off with ADQ that's like worth $230 billion. And it's like, this is all about him. So we're seeing him in AD, and he's gonna, I think he already chaired one of the sovereign wealth funds and took a really important role there. I was telling Kiki, when Donald Trump came to the UAE last year in May, it seems so far away and yet so near. He was talking to Donald Trump, and he was like, we do punch above our weight. And it's like, you have these two princes and
Grand ambitions.
Exactly. And it's like, this entire story, it's like, this is the rise of their leadership. It's like you have this new era, this new generation that is taking place, and it's so beautiful to see. It's like, we will remember this one day, the same way that people spoke about His Highness Sheikh Mohammed. But yeah, that's
literally paving the way for
exactly.
I mean, hopefully other nations to take note of how to manage this sort of overpopulation that most cities are facing at the moment. And given the research that you've done, offline as well into these sort of mega projects, how successful do you foresee this being?
Look, I think with the UAE, I can predict it will definitely be successful because they've managed to build the tallest building in the world.
Track record. Yeah.
Burj Khalifa. And I honestly, I just see it as like construction wars. It's like, it's so crazy, but it's like, I think real estate has become a symbol of wealth. I think it always was. Yeah. But now it's just like, it's become something completely else. But it's like, it's interesting because I know we're saying that like other countries are going to take inspiration, but I don't think that's always what citizens want. Do you think it is?
It depends on what what you're moving to certain cities for. I think there are certain places that might champion more, a fostering of a slower life, or I don't know. There are certain American cities, or even in the Netherlands, that's all really much about greenery and slowing down and that kind of thing. Whereas here, it's fast paced, it's innovation, it's as you say, the sci-fi inspiration board for the stories that we read.
It is.
So yeah, I think I'm really excited to see what's going to happen with this, and especially with the Boring Company's involvement, that bridging between cultures, West and the Middle East. I think that's really interesting to see also where the two powerhouses are going to come together.
It is, and it's like the reason why I mentioned like if all citizens want to do this, it's because Mohammed Al-Abbar, the Emaar founder, he always talks about this every single time he tries to build something in Europe. Well, he has very successful projects in Europe. They come in and they tell him, no, but like we really care about the lizards, and like we really care about the greenery.
Precisely.
And I remember he even tried to like build this like mini Dubai. I think it was in Budapest.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, and it was completely canceled actually because the people were like, we don't want a Dubai. Like we want affordable public housing.
Yeah.
But then, like, you also have, that influencer Simon. I think his name is Simon Squibb.
Squibb.
Yes. He came up with this perspective where he basically said that living in really expensive countries, like whether it's like Singapore, whether it's the UAE, it pushes you to be more ambitious because you're trying to match that like quality of living, which I so agree with.
You choose where you live based on that level of ambition, potentially also quality of life. Obviously, I mean we're stating the obvious here, but yeah, no, it is a good point. I think it's one to keep a big eye on, especially the Dubai Loop. I mean, it's livability, right, that people are after, and livability looks different to different people.
Yes,
that's the way to put it.
And right now, Aldar Properties and Mubadala Investment Company have completed a strategic joint venture to create a $2 billion retail platform designed to drive Abu Dhabi's next phase of growth across retail, lifestyle, and mixed-use real estate.
And here we were talking about real estate. So actually this platform will be managed by Aldar and consolidates two of the Emirates' flagship assets, Yas Mall and the Galleria Luxury Collection, with a combined 260,000 square meters of gross leasable area across prime commercial and tourism districts.
Now, Aldar CEO Talal Al-Diaby said that the deal creates a retail champion that will alleviate Abu Dhabi's global appeal and redefine how luxury retail is curated, experienced, and scaled as the Emirate competes with Dubai, London, and Paris for high-end brands.
Yeah, both malls already operate at near full capacity. I think Yas Mall's got a 99% occupancy and the Galleria is at 92%. So that really reflects the sustained demand from international retailers, residents, tourism, and reinforces Abu Dhabi's ambition to position itself as regional luxury and this lifestyle hub.
Now, Mubadala said that the partnership will unlock the full potential of Al Maria Island and build on a broader 60 billion dirham collaboration announced in December to expand Abu Dhabi's financial district with new offices, housing, and real estate, deepening the Emirates' long-term institutional and investor appeal. Oh my God, this is crazy. And by the way, like, it's actually $2.7 billion.
Right.
It's $3 billion.
Just so you guys know.
Yeah, I just have to add that in. I was summarizing, but I think with this entire story, it's like, I know that some people will, they'll come in and they'll be like, oh, like, do we really need another platform? Do we need another retail platform? But I think that this is so necessary, especially I think a collaboration of such. You have Aldar, and Aldar, by the way, is responsible for the Yas Marina circuit. Where they have F1 every single year.
Yeah.
Not just the circuit itself, like the building, but the homes around it, the very infrastructure of Abu Dhabi.
I'm curious to see how also, the construction of sites like the new Disney, the new Disney theme park is going to affect this kind of investment. And it kind of, it leads up to that kind of level of tourism that we're anticipating. It used to be that all of the sort of things that we grew up watching and listening to would only be accessible in the States. I remember the first branches of coffee, or the first, brands that people would be forced to queue outside of. It's a smart move to bring everything regionally here, because we're, with this kind of investment, which, by the way, these figures are insane to wrap our heads around.
Yeah.
But that kind of level of investment is really indicative of people wanting to find something at the home base like that. So yeah, there's a lot of new property development. I don't know if you've been seeing the ads. I don't know why I'm being targeted, because I am not in the market to buy property at the moment. But, I think it's also Aldar's involvement in that, with new real estate becoming available with amazing payment plans for people to invest there, really close to where the Disney site will be. And everything, there's obviously with overpopulation and things like that, it makes sense that other Emirates are becoming more prominent on the map. Again, to quote, the livability factor, these kinds of moves all build towards that.
I definitely agree with you. And I think, like, you know, you always have the no-sayers who are going to come in here and be like, oh my God, like, it's not affordable. Like, I can't buy anything. Okay, I totally understand you. There is a level of capitalism that is maintained. And in the case, I think here, that capitalism has driven the country to, like, absolutely exceptional places.
Yeah.
But it's like, you have to, like, you know, you have to think of things like Pripco. So Pripco is by the DAMAC General Director, Amira Sejwani, the daughter of Hussein Sejwani. And I do believe that she is behind DAMAC's success. She is a big part of it, you know?
Yeah.
All of her other siblings, they founded their own real estate companies. And I believe one of her brothers, he basically bought you know that tower that basically looks like Big Ben?
Yeah,
that's what they're basically calling
it.
it. Yeah. So he basically, imagine he bought it, and I think he's like refurnishing it, and I think he's already sold out more than 90% of it.
That's
but
surprising.
With her, what she has done, oh my God, this lady, she's like revolutionary. She started this this app. It's called Pripco, and you can basically have fractional real estate. And when I say fractional real estate, like, not to overcomplicate this, you can basically buy like a
pie,
a
piece of the pie.
Exactly, for like maybe, I don't know, 400 dirhams. So she's made it a possibility for, you know, either low income or middle class communities in the country to still be able to be a part of this. And, you know, if you're thinking, oh, that's not going to be worth that much, if you think about it, it will compound over time, especially with, you know, things becoming more inflated and the value of those properties going up. But it's like, there is something there for everyone.
Yeah.
You know?
It reminds me of Stake. Stake is, I think, another one of those fractional real estate companies.
He was in SEF. The founder was there, and it was so interesting. But yeah, please
Did you get
go
to
on.
chat?
No, not really. But like, I was enjoying the session.
Yeah.
I think that he really, like, his takes on everything, they're so interesting. He basically said that Dubai real estate is more valuable than like real estate in New York or like, in New York. It's crazy.
If you do look historically at the charts, and don't quote me on this, but looking at the ROI, I mean, I've seen crazy stats of like 10 to 13% and way up above that, which at least historically in Europe sits at like half that, if not even less than that. So that is an interesting one. But it's specifically when you're hearing these kind of crazy numbers, that differentiation, that distanciation that happens of like, oh, I could never be part of that. You know, we talk about luxury and capitalism, but actually it is Pripco, it is the stakes that actually show that it can be possible, you know, in the same way you would maybe put aside some money in ETFs or you know, any kind of investment funds or bonds that you might want to stack your money into to compound. There is options to get involved in these kind of mega things.
There definitely is. Yeah. And right now, Cristiano Ronaldo is definitely involved in Saudi Arabian football. So in fact, he was absent from Al-Nassr's Saudi Pro League match against Al-Riyadh on Monday, according to Arab News, the Saudi national press agency, with Portuguese media reporting. He is allegedly on a strike over the club's lack of transfer activity as the title race intensifies.
Yeah, he's reportedly frustrated that Al-Nassr has failed to significantly strengthen its squad, while rivals like Al-Hilal continue to heavily spend on these things. And the Portuguese star is rumored to earn more than $335 million annually.
Absolutely insane. Al-Hilal spent over 90 million euros in January, including 30 million euros on this teenage striker Nader Miati and 25 million euros to sign Karim Benzema. Now, Al-Nassr, by contrast, signed only one player, Iraqi midfielder Haider Abdelkarim.
And since 2023, Al-Hilal has invested 624 million euros, compared with 409 million euros by Al-Nassr, according to beIN Sports. Now, both clubs are majority owned by Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, the PIF, which holds a 75% stake in 4 SPL teams.
Now, analysts say that this episode reflects tighter spending across Saudi football as authorities adopt a more strategic approach, shifting away from expensive foreign stars toward developing younger talent and building long-term sustainability within the league. I think that with this entire story, it's very interesting because it's all in the air. By the way, like this is just all alleged. This is all just reportedly.
Yeah.
Ronaldo himself has not actually come out and said anything really concrete. But from what I'm thinking about, to be honest with you, it's like you have Al-Nassr, you're signing Ronaldo. They're already putting so much money into this one person. I think that's probably the strategy that they've taken.
Yeah.
They were like,
Very
okay,
clearly.
instead of getting like 10, like averagely famous people, let's just take the very best. That's like, no, seriously, because you know what?
DiCaprios of the football world.
Honestly, I see so many events, Kiki. I go to so many events, and it's like, especially with like shoots, and they bring in these influencers, and I've seen this strategy again and again.
Yeah.
It's either they bring one influencer who like has, I remember I went for this event, yes, it was not Bakehouse, they had a collaboration with Vaseline.
Okay.
And what they did is they brought this Iraqi influencer, and she has like, I think 5 million followers, and I noticed that there was no one else famous. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And I remember they kept telling me, you have to film her. That was like their main lucky charm. And then you'll see in some events, they'll get like 20 of them who are all micro. So I think in this case, I don't really think it's necessarily a change in investments from them.
Well, is the strategy just throwing a big name in there and hoping it'll stick? I mean, comparing influencers with the likes of a Ronaldo is interesting because everyone knows Ronaldo. Even I don't know. I'm making assumptions. Are you a football fan?
No, I'm not.
No,
I'm not.
Okay, me neither. And yet somehow we're very capable of understanding what this means because Ronaldo has that level of fame.
Exactly.
Now that doesn't necessarily always mean that that's the right strategy. So when people come to us, at least at Odium, and talk about influencer marketing versus content creators, sometimes you'll find there's actually much more engagement from the smaller influencers that have built a real authentic community within a very specific niche.
Right.
Than the big influencer that is randomly slapped onto a brand because they have millions of followers that might not care about Vaseline, or they might not care about whatever they're being sort of guided towards from the brand deal perspective. So maybe there's a little bit of that happening here. Also, there's a respect for the craft and the art of the football, and so getting the right names for Ronaldo might be super important, and that's where maybe a bit of frustration lies. But again, it's all alleged, so this is just two girls bouncing ideas.
Literally, but you know what it also is actually? Al-Hilal, I know that all the reports right now, they're basically mentioning that these Saudi football clubs, these Saudi pro football clubs, they're all owned by the Public Investment Fund.
Yeah.
But in fact, a big story that these reports have missed, it's that Al-Hilal is set to be acquired by Prince Al-Walid bin Talal, like 100%. The entirety of the club.
How can they be missing this, though?
That Benzema has just joined.
Yeah.
And they were able to complete the transfer. So it's kind of in the sense of, is perhaps Al-Walid bin Talal providing more investment on that side? And, perhaps that's why they have more transfer activity. In fact, he is set to acquire the club for $500 million, but some reports say $2 billion from Saudi journalists.
Right.
So it's so you also have that perspective of is it perhaps because he's been behind this, because he's been backing it for a while. He's the chairman of Kingdom Holding, and his company, it spans so many conglomerates. You have Four Seasons. They're trying to renovate Four Seasons in Beirut, in Lebanon. He's also going to behind Jeddah Tower. So he's behind that too, but he's like one of the old, I would say, but like when they announced like one of the richest men in the Middle East, it was him. So it's like, could he be behind this? I don't really know. It's all alleged, But let's find out what happens.
Yeah, well, let's keep an eye on it, and then maybe we can pick it up on the next story.
Honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you. I want this to stay positive. I want to keep seeing Ronaldo in Saudi. I saw a video of his daughter speaking Arabic, and I'm like,
she's learning Arabic. That's incredible,
girl, and her pronunciation is good. I'm like, oh my god, I'm sorry, but like, y'all, like, please don't leave Saudi. Let me come to Saudi Arabia, have my opportunity to meet Georgina. Don't do this to me,
Georgina.
Please keep them. And that's a wrap for today, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning into the Smashi Business Show. Make sure to follow us across all social media channels at Smashi Business and stay ahead with our daily newsletter. You'll find the subscription link in the description.
Yeah, this has been a Smashi Business Show, a Smashi Business production, part of the Augustus Media Podcast Network, and a massive shout out to more than 2 million monthly listeners across all of our platforms. You guys make this kind of conversation possible. And if you're one of them, we really appreciate you. Have a smashing day.
Yes, please do.
See you tomorrow.